Active ETFs have become all the rage in Europe. And post the acquisition of Lyxor Asset Management, French juggernaut Amundi has become a market leader in passive investments. But can it beat out the likes of iShares? To discuss all this and more, I'm joined by Benoit Sorel, the Global Head of ETFs, Indexing and Smart Beta at Amundi. So my first question to you is, why is the active ETF market growing so much in Europe?
Well, the active ETF market grew 16 billion euros last year, so 6% of the market, which is significant indeed. And ETFs are just becoming a core investment vehicle for all investor segments, from the most sophisticated individual to the man on the street. And as you know, ETFs as a whole had their biggest year ever last year, and 2025 is actually following that pace. Going back to your precise question on active, proportions are obviously much larger in the US, where you have a tax advantage. But in Europe, indeed, we still see a very big trend towards active ETFs. And I would say there are four key trends in terms of client use case, which is the most important thing. The first one is systematic solutions, pure quants or quantamental, mixing quantitative and fundamental, with relatively low tracking or budget and offering an active alternative to indexing. Number two is ESG overlays, whereby the active nature of the ETFs gives more leeway to manage sustainable parameters. And typically, we launched last year new exposures complying to the French SI label with an active overlay, which gives us more flexibility in that sense. Then you have basic, in a way, replication of successful active strategies in an ETF format to open up new distribution channels. And last one, I would say, is thematic products, which by nature are less benchmarked and a new asset class for retail. So there is a key trend in the market indeed. And obviously at Amundi, our aim has always been to listen to our customers and develop solutions specifically to address their challenges. And this is something we're looking at, obviously, and we're actually going into.
And does Amundi have goals to take over iShares as the top ETF provider? And if so, how can you achieve this?
Well, Amundi has very ambitious goals for ETFs in general. And I would say the key differentiators or the key things we want to promote are, well, there's a few things, actually. There's one, to be a key player in that market, you need scale. We do have scale now. Our assets are above 270 billion euros in ETFs. We did the acquisition of Lyxor, obviously, and the convergence of the ranges. And now we're a true scale player in that range, which is criteria number one. Criteria number two, we have a strong European DNA and proximity with our clients. This allows us to better understand the needs of the local market. So we have a global offering with a local presence. For instance, one key element is digital wealth. We've signed 12 new partnerships with digital players last year. And now we have partnerships with like 45 players across Europe and Asia. PEA, which is a local tax wrapper in Europe. We have the widest range in the market with more than 100 ETFs eligible to PEA. Products is a key element of understanding local markets. Last year, we had the most successful new ETF launch in the market with our prime all country world ETF, which now stands above 2 billion euros in AUM. I mentioned already the launch of SRI label, which is also key understanding of the market, but we could go all the way to Latin America central banks, where we launched an ETF on Global Corp for them. MSA USA, which we did in September across 800 billion. And just this week, we announced our life cycle ETFs with Acacia Bank. So I think we have global range, local presence, which is extremely important. And last one, I think being a responsible investor is extremely important, in particular for European players. And whether you invest in ESG exposure or in standard exposure, having a key partner with a clear stewardship and voting offering is critical in indexing. So I think we have a very strong ambitions, but means to actually achieve these ambitions.
Benoit, you touched on the acquisition of Lixor Asset Management, and you've rebranded several ETFs that have come from that acquisition. In your view, has the process been successful, and is there more to come?
The process has been extremely successful. I think this was my first point actually to be ambitious in that market. You need scale. You need scale in the sense that you need a global offering and all the exposures, and you need the size to actually offer competitive exposures. This was a key element in Amundi's growth, and it's been handled extremely successfully with a zero operational event, and always having the priority of putting our clients at the center of what we do. But it's been a massive accelerator for Amundi indeed.
In December 2024, Amundi launched 6 active ETFs in equities and bonds targeted at French investors. Will you expand these products for investors outside of France as well?
Well, these products are available for investors outside of France as well. The key reason we launched these products in an active format, as I mentioned earlier, was to comply with the French SRI label, which is quite demanding in a way, and we wanted to make sure that we always had the flexibility to adjust to the label, to comply with this label, managing efficiently the exposure and the tracking error. So these indices are available for any investor who wants them, but indeed they were created to comply with the French label.
And according to Morningstar research, out of the top 20 ETF and ETC providers, Amundi took second place, beating out the likes of Xtrackers. So what are you going to do to maintain this position?
Well, it's kind of I'm not commenting in a way on competition, but there's some same answer as your previous question on our ambition in ETF around, again, global offering, client centricity, and responsible investing. These are the 3 key differentiators. And if you look at numbers in a way, I think to go back to my points 1 and 2, we're extremely diversified in our book of business, diversified in terms of products, in terms of clients, and in terms of geographies. And if you look, and January is obviously too short to draw a line up to December, but if you look at January, for instance, we had more than 20, well, we had 20 ETFs with more than 100 million flows in euros in net new assets. So we're not just like focusing on 1 or 2 key exposures. We're really a global player.
I also wanted to go back to your point about digital wealth. Why has it been so important for Amundi to establish itself within that realm?
Well, it's just that market segment has been extremely important for ETF players altogether. This is a market segment that is still relatively new, and it really emerged through COVID when advisors couldn't meet with their clients anymore and had to go digital to interact with them. And it's grown massively since then. And obviously, ETF is the plug and play tool for these players to talk to their clients. So we have an alignment of interest between a new distribution channel and an efficient vehicle to target that distribution channel, which is raising significant assets. So it's obviously a key priority for us.
And lastly, what is your overall outlook for ETFs in 2025?
Okay, well, thank you. I was afraid that you were asking me my outlook on the market, which is very, very complex to predict with the current geopolitical venues. But on ETFs, I'm extremely bullish. I mentioned 2024 was the largest year ever for ETFs. I think 2025, we're going to keep seeing this acceleration. We're not at the end of an era. We're actually at the beginning of a new era for ETFs, because ETFs, again, are relevant to the most sophisticated institutional investors, being central bank, to the manager at the street with digital wealth. And I think markets will be extremely fragmented and volatile this year. So one thing for sure is all these investors will need an investment tool that can give flexibility to react to market conditions. And ETF is just the perfect tool to do so. So I'm extremely bullish for ETFs in 2025.
Thank you for being here with me. This is Christopher Johnson for Morningstar UK.